Hey, what's going on, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I didn't make a breakdown of the New York Knicks Los Angeles Lakers video last night. I actually reacted to the just the overall situation after losing to the Knicks because I hadn't seen the highlights just yet, and the links that I was watching kind of had me watching the game maybe in and out of the game kind of sporadically, is I guess the way to say it. So for myself, it was more so about just wanting to let y'all know, hey, the Lakers are not. It's okay to call this a mistake. Um, this roster is just it's a mistake, and we need to just go ahead and try to tweak it a little bit, or um, you know, do a little more than tweak it to try to make some things work. So that was my point of view yesterday. Today, I want to kind of tell you what I saw in the highlights of that game and just ultimately react to it. So, Lakers got off to a slow start in New York. They jumped out on us. I think a better way to describe it is the Knicks got off to a hot start. And, it was some good play from Malik Monk, kind of keeping us hanging around, scoring the ball very well, cutting to the basket. He had a nice jam in there. Just did some good things to start the game to kind of keep us hanging around. In the second quarter, we started to pick it up a little bit. We started to get some things working for ourselves. And I really started to see Russell Westbrook start to assert himself like I thought we would see. Avery Bradley was huge in this game, and he was also making shots and things of that nature. So we started to make it competitive in that second quarter. And during that time, I had walked away from the game. We were down by 25. I walked away. The links weren't working, so I'm just like, all right, let me just go do something else. I'll come back. So when I, came back to the game itself, we were kind of hanging around, I guess, 5. Like, we had come all the way back. So I can't really tell you context of what happened there, but what I can say is Avery Bradley getting 9 rebounds in this game was extremely helpful. So moving forward, just talking about the game itself, we saw a lot out of Russell Westbrook. The good thing about this team for this day was that we came out of the second, out of the halftime situation and came into the third quarter hot for a change. The Lakers are notorious for being horrible coming out of the locker room in the third quarter, but we actually outscored the New York Knicks 30-20. So that was something very big I could take away to say that we're improving in an area we drastically need to. Coming out of that locker room with urgency and coming out of that locker room feeling good about ourselves. And a lot of that had to do with just the sheer aggressiveness of Russell Westbrook. The things he was choosing to do in this game, as opposed to the things that he chooses to do in the other games. Yes, did he have above 6 turnovers, 6 or more turnovers? I didn't see the final turnover amount, but I know he had 6 when I last checked. Yes, but I told you guys, this is the New York Knicks. They're a good defensive team. So he's going to turn the ball over more off the strength of them just forcing those turnovers. So I'm not upset about those turnovers at all. What he gave us was a triple-double with high scoring. And as I told you guys, his scoring was going to go up because this was the first time he was going to be able to put on that Laker uniform and have the team basically to himself. So I thought, even though AD ended up playing, he had the offense, and he was coming off a couple of games where he had been gradually getting better and more comfortable in this uniform. Over the last couple of games, as I told you, he had went from doing too much the wrong way, slowed it all the way down to where his production was pretty much at null for one game, and then started to ramp it up. And I said, I'm seeing what's happening here. He's almost behaving like a stock when it comes down to its lowest peak, and then you get to a point where support is met, and then it starts getting gradually better and starts to regain. That's exactly what's happening with Russell Westbrook. He literally did that very thing with his statistics, so to speak. And now we're at a space where in Madison Square Garden, he can come and give you 31 and a triple-double. And that's exactly what I expected to see. He was going to ramp it up because he's getting his confidence in this uniform. He's getting stronger in his conditioning. He's being able to finish better in the paint. And he's just understanding that it's most important that he drive the basketball. A lot of what's going on with Russell Westbrook is one of 2 things that I'm also sensing, other than some of the things that I've mentioned already in previous videos. What I'm seeing, or what I was seeing, was him becoming hesitant. That was throwing him off a rhythm. He was already having trouble finding his rhythm, but he was losing his confidence in his shot and is losing his confidence in his decision making, and because of it, he was even a step slow in that. He's starting to get his confidence back, and he's starting to have less sequences like that. You're not seeing as many situations where he's hesitating on his jump shot or hesitating to figure out what to do in the triple threat. He's making moves, and he's making the right moves in terms of driving at the basket and looking to finish rather than looking to draw fouls. That was one of the things that he was doing earlier in the season with the Lakers. He wasn't looking to finish when he drove at the basket. He was more so looking to get to the line and try to connect in that way. He's understood that they're swallowing their whistles this season. So he's had to kind of ramp it up in terms of finishing those chippies and making sure those layups and those dunks connect. And that's what I'm seeing, a more intent Russell Westbrook on finishing in the paint, as opposed to taking some of these jump shots. Now, granted, his shot selection is still going to have to improve from here. He did take a few bad shots, but ultimately, in that third quarter, it was him. He drove us toward getting us all the way back into that game. Obviously, you want to give credit to other players as well. Carmelo Anthony was very crucial in that. As I said, Avery Bradley was massive in that. DeAndre Jordan did some good things on the boards for us, and we played him, which was very, very important for our situation. We wanted to make sure that we had some size out there against a New York Knicks team that we knew brought size to the table. Which is something I've really appreciated from Frank Vogel over these last 2 games. He's made sure that he's gone away with some of those small ball lineups, and he's just gone with DJ a little more, gone with Dwight some, although the Dwight situation didn't pan out. We had a bad sequence with him. We'll talk about in a minute. But overall, I thought that we made a more concerted effort to try to do things differently. And really, I hate to be this guy, but this is one of those situations where what was missing for the Lakers yesterday was LeBron James. If he plays in this game and gives us his production, we win. That's kind of what I saw out there when I just overall looked at the stats, overall looked at everything. We kept up with them on the rebounds. We had the exact same amount of assists. We had the exact same amount of turnovers. Like, we kept up with this team. Even though we got off to a slow start, came back, and ultimately let them kind of pull away in the end, the overall game itself was just, the difference really was us shooting poorly versus them shooting very well. That was it. You know, the eye test will tell you the Lakers played poorly defensively. Well, the Lakers are always going to play poorly defensively. And, you know, the stats will also tell you that the Lakers shot too many threes. That's also something we need to talk about. But overall, Russell Westbrook played the best game of his, you know, young season, I would imagine. You know, he's continuing to play his best game. As I said yesterday, I mentioned that in that Detroit game I thought was his best game. This is now his new best game, so he's getting better. And in my opinion, you know, it's just LeBron James's production. Some of those missed shots were possessions that he's connecting on. So our percentages go up at 3. So our percentages go up in the field goal range. And that's ultimately where we lost. So I say that's like an overtime game, basically, if Bron plays in it. That's what I'm telling you here. So looking at what I saw, not a whole lot to be encouraged about. But looking at the stats tell me an entirely different story. So you can kind of go with it as you will, but the bottom line is the Los Angeles Lakers lost to a team that I expected them to lose to, in a gym that is not easy to win in. And, you know, got to give credit to Russell Westbrook for ultimately playing fantastic, but that's pretty much what we can give it. I mean, then the credit just goes to the other team. You got to give the bench of the New York Knicks a lot of credit. The bench of the New York Knicks. I want to talk about Obi Toppin. I'm going to talk about Emmanuel Quickly. We're talking about just overall the same. I say with Kemba Walker, even though I think he started yesterday because Derrick Rose was out. They just came together and did what they needed to do. Nerlens Noel, even though he didn't show up in the stat sheet, his defensive presence was very much felt. And Julius Randle, you know, leading the way with 16 boards. I said he would get a triple-double. Didn't quite get there, but he did walk away. 5 assists, I think some 20-something points, something like that. But the point was he was able to crash the boards. I figured they would because we would just not really have the personnel there. And really, Obi Toppin took advantage of us. You know, he has a size mismatch issue down there that he can exploit. And we just don't have an answer for that. That 6'10" explosive guy who can stretch the floor. There's no one on our roster who can guard that person at all. LeBron James would have to check that guy. AD is preoccupied with guarding someone else in that situation. We just don't have an answer for that player. And so that's another thing the Lakers need to consider, getting one more big. Like I said, we've mentioned Jeremy Grant was somebody the Lakers are considering by rumor. I don't know if we could actually bring him in. I don't think so. But point is, we need a prototype like that, somebody who can guard that type of player, because a lot of teams have that player, and that player is going to exploit us every time. So let's see. Of course, you want to continue to give credit to a guy like R.J. Barrett, even though he didn't have the greatest shooting game. He did play well and ultimately helped them. He's a better defender than people give him credit for as well. Helps with their team defense quite a bit. And overall, of course, as I told you guys, Evan Fournier, I was expecting him to shoot us out the gym. He did just that. Played very well. I think he walked away with 26 points. So yeah, you gotta give a lot of credit to the home team. The Los Angeles Lakers played a solid basketball game. Defense was horrible as usual, but for our standards, without a LeBron James, I think we played okay. But the issues we have defensively, I said we would talk about Dwight Howard. There was a sequence, I don't know whose fault it was, but the one sequence we got a chance to put him in the game because he only got a couple minutes last night. There was a wide open play that Obi Toppin, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was Obi, was able to cut to the basket and get a dunk behind him. Just a complete and utter misread. I think Dwight thought someone else was supposed to take that person, but really you're the bigger guy in that situation. That other person was not going to have any chance against Obi anyway. So you just want Dwight to instinctively track that player, not let him run behind him. Even if the other guy's opportunity to take him, even if it's a responsibility to take that player, you're still the guy that needs to be back there for that last line of defense. There's no excuse for that. So, I've been lobbying for us to play our centers. I thought DJ's been great, but Dwight Howard has not shown up for us to start this season in the way that we need him to. He was much more reliable in 2020, and I want to hold him accountable for being one of those guys who I know for a fact he can play better than he's been playing. And I know his minutes have been sporadic, but a lot of that's been because of his production and his lack of focus. Getting involved and doing things the wrong way, kind of getting attention drawn to himself for fouls and technicals and things like that, and not helping us in other areas, finishing, stuff like that. I know Dwight's better than this. We know who he is. He's fam. But I'm holding his feet to the fire today. He needs to play better with the minutes given to him. He's getting outworked by DJ, and that is not supposed to be happening. I'm just being real with you. That was not supposed to happen. So that's one thing I want to say there. And also, Anthony Davis. You notice I didn't mention him in this video. That was purposeful. And I want to get back to Emmanuel quickly too, because he shot us out of here. So I don't want to forget about him. But listen, AD, you're a superstar, bro. This is Madison Square Garden. 20 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds? 6 rebounds? I read somewhere, just a comment in a random YouTube video, it said it's time for AD to start getting the criticism that he deserves. Bron gets criticism, Westbrook gets criticism, the bench gets criticism, Coach Vogel gets criticism. AD doesn't really get it. But he's the guy who's supposed to be the superstar on this team next to LeBron James. With respect to Russell Westbrook, not at this stage in his career. Nobody's seeing him as that particular level player. AD's the guy who's supposed to be the guys who's supposed to rival LeBron James for who's the man on this team. 20 points and 6 rebounds in Madison Square Garden. Now, I understand he's been dealing with flu-like symptoms. Maybe he had limited minutes. Like I said, I didn't see the whole game. But that comment essentially said that AD is soft. And it had over 1,000 people that liked it. AD needs to step up, man. He needs to step up. As I said in previous videos, reinvent his body over the next several months or a year or so. He needs to get stronger and he needs to get faster. Because what I'm seeing out there is a guy that's a little too satisfied with his production. I hear him calling other people out. I see him trying to lead. I see him putting up good numbers here and there. But in a game where LeBron James ain't out there, and we got to go up against a real good New York Knicks team with Julius Randle, your homie, you got to show up and give him 35. I ain't trying to hear nothing about no 20.6 rebounds. Now, if you're not going to get... Juju had, did I say 15 or 16 rebounds? It was up there. And you walk away with 6? Now, mind you, again, that's his boy. This is somebody he asked to come to New Orleans, offered to go to New Orleans to play with him when the Lakers were looking to move on from him. You know what I'm saying? This is somebody who got Juju into the position to kind of have that exposure that would put him in a position to be coveted by a team like the Knicks. That was AD's doing from what I remember. So you would expect that he would have a certain level of focus going up against a player like this that he's familiar with, that he's played with. Juju showed up. Where were you? And I get he's coming off a great game. I ain't taking nothing from him. He had 5 blocks, 4 steals, bunch of rebounds. He was excellent in Detroit. Ain't trying to take nothing from him in that game. But you a superstar, bro. I don't care about yesterday. When I'm talking about Giannis, do you think I'm sitting up here saying, "Whoa, Giannis did something yesterday"? When I'm talking about guys like Luka Doncic, "Oh, Luka did something yesterday." No. When you're of that echelon, I don't care about what you did yesterday. We want to talk about what you're doing today to continue to be that player of that level. We compare you to guys like KD, compare you to people like Steph Curry. Man, they ain't laying no eggs like that, bro. They ain't laying no eggs like that in no Madison Square Garden. It's never happening. I don't know who AD believes himself to be at this stage in his career, but I compare you to people like Tim Duncan. I look at you like somebody who has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar type upside, even though I know that Kareem has done a lot to accomplish a lot to be who he is. But I'm talking about just on the court, you can do things. But you ain't showing me none of that since you put on this uniform. And we can blame this guy or that guy or the system or the offense or the bright lights. We can blame everybody. But at the end of the day, you are too talented to be this passive. Period. Too talented to be this passive. And I hear what you're saying. You know, you're holding others accountable, saying, you know, this is what we need from Russell Westbrook every night. What does Russell need from you? Because I can guarantee you he didn't get that last night. You might have got from him what you needed from him last night, but he didn't get from you what he needed from you. Because that 20 points, that 6 rebounds, that ain't it. Now, I come here sing people's praises to the mountaintops when they playing well. But if they're not going to play well, I'm going to call that out too. That's what this is. It's all about the name on the front. And I hold AD to a different standard. He up there with Bron. In terms of the standards of caliber of play, I'm talking about the best of the best here. He ain't playing nowhere near that level. I wouldn't vote for him to be an all-star this year the way he's playing. And that's not to say that he's not playing at all-star level, because he is. But I'm not giving him no pass for playing well below his standards. No. I'd rather that go to somebody else who's not playing up to his standards, but more so deserving because they're playing above their own. We ain't rewarding mediocrity out here. We are a 500 ball club, and he's been out there for most of those games. Now, I know he struggled in New Orleans, and I know we're limited. Like, we got a lot of problems, limited capacity. I get it. We got a lot going on here. Our team is limited. But you're at the guard, 20-6. I'm sorry. We cannot. As a Laker fan, I cannot sit up here and say that's cool, bro. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I grew up on Kobe, bro. Ain't no way. You know, we used to get on Pau Gasol because we used to call him soft. We used to do that. And he proved himself. He wasn't no damn soft. He wasn't. But there were certain things about his game that appeared passive. But it wasn't passive. He played with a passion. He played with a lot of heart. And he showed up in big games. He connected for us more than he didn't. And he made damn sure that whether he was playing with scrubs in a good system or bad system, the team was better because he was on the floor. He was making plays for others, doing things for everybody. Even when Kobe was out there or not, we would be in games. And them team was less talented than the one we have right now in some cases. Believe me, it was. Especially when Lamar wasn't out there. When he would be hurt, our team was trash. They would be dragging players that weren't up to par, but they would play better than what we're seeing out of our guy right there, right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I love Powell. AD is more talented than Powell. AD is more naturally talented than Pau Gasol, y'all. But right now, historically, Powell above him. And that's on AD. That's on AD. So, hey, that's how I feel, man. And look, like I said, I know he's playing injured. He's doing a lot to try to prove himself. But if he ain't saying some of the same things to that mirror that I'm saying in this camera, then something's wrong. Because 20 points and 6 rebounds at the Madison Square Garden in a Laker loss, when LeBron ain't out there, come on, man. Come on, man. I'm not going to even pretend like I'm all right with that. Hell no. Anyway, so yeah, as I said, I want to give Emmanuel quickly some love before I get up out of here. He's been struggling a little bit to start his season, but I know who he is. Remember who he is. This is a killer. who can light you up, and that's exactly what he did with the Lakers. Some of them shots weren't the greatest shot selection. Some of them were, and they fell, and it kept us from getting close. We were in striking distance, but between him, Obi Toppin, they weren't having it. So you got to give the Knicks their credit, and that's exactly what I wanted to say. So yeah, man, as far as the Los Angeles Lakers are concerned, Russie gets the game ball. You know what I mean? It's for us anyway. I give him the game ball. Like I said, I love what I saw to Avery Bradley. Big 9 rebounds. That's huge. And like I said, DJ also, I really appreciate what I saw from him out there. Malik Monk played well. THT, last but not least, 0 points. I hate to say it, but I'm starting to believe what I said initially about my guy. He's just not consistent yet. He's going to be exactly what we think he's going to be, but he's still not that guy yet. I thought he was proving me wrong in terms of the way he came out the gate, looking like an all-star, but he's kind of leveled back out over these last couple games. And unfortunately, that was what my initial statement about him was about. He's just not quite there yet to be a guy who can give you something every night. He did some bad stuff out there yesterday. Bad stuff. There was some sequences I saw out there where he was foregoing good opportunities to pass the ball to players with open shots to take contested bad shots for himself. That type of selfishness, THT, is not going to help our team. I know you're a young player, so ain't nobody mad at you, but you're going to have to learn when and when not to be the guy being aggressive. Sometimes it's best to be aggressive. Other times it's best to read what's in front of you and let your teammate have a better shot than the shot that you're going to try to create for yourself. Because those are bad losing basketball plays, and I saw some of that last night. And in an 0 for 9, you best believe a lot of those shots were those type of shots. So he's going to have to check out the tape. Those old guys going to have to grab him by the shoulder and say, look, young fella, this is what we see out there, because this is one of those moments. And last but not least, Frank Vogel, like I said, I personally, I'm actually okay with some of the adjustments that I've seen over the last 2 days. I am, because I see him trying to go big, and I see him trying to make adjustments that weren't being made beforehand. I am seeing more movement in our offense. As I said, that stand-alone offense, we're doing more. A lot of that has to do with Russell Westbrook being more effective driving to the basket. But ultimately, I see more of what I want to see, just not quite at the level that we want to be at. So there is small increments of improvement, and I'm seeing it, but got a long way to go. Very long way to go, especially on the defensive end. I don't think that we can help ourselves defensively, Laker fans. I just don't. We don't have the personnel. Like I said, that Obi Toppin type of player, we don't have nobody that can guard that player. Anytime there's a player like that, he's going to eat. So we got to find a way to make our roster better in that way. Somebody mentioned, I don't remember exactly who it was, but they were saying that Carmelo Anthony is being exploited defensively. I see it. He's a fantastic offensive player, but right now they're taking advantage of him defensively. We're also seeing a lot of that with our guards as well. I like Wayne Ellington a lot. He had some good defensive sequences out there and things like that, but he's just not giving me enough for the minutes that we're giving him. Maybe we should start shuffling around, trying to see if we can search for some more stuff down there. I still want to see the Lakers try to give a kid that we haven't given any time to, Jay Huff, I believe is his name, the 7-foot center who shoots threes. I think that's a dynamic we need because of his length, because of his arm length. He is somebody who has ridiculously long arms, and he shoots the three. Y'all love these centers, right? Y'all want to put centers on the floor? Well, we got a guy. We just have not seen him. They haven't called him up yet, but he's a 7'1" guy with like 7-foot something reach. Doesn't do nothing but shoot threes. That type of guy, even though that prototype ain't great, I think there are certain instances where him and AD with that length can help certain small ball lineups that we like to use. He could be a stretch 5 that can help us assist with those lineups. That's the type of out-the-box thinking that I'd like to see the Lakers try to do. Maybe he's not ready. I'm not saying he's ready. He may not be ready. But we need that type of player. And he happens to be on our roster. So it's kind of stuff I want to see, man. God, our guys need to hurry and get back healthy. What's up with our training staff? How's our guys doing? You know what I mean? They're young players with soft tissue injuries. How's it going? That's what I have to ask as a fan, because I'm getting to a point where I'm like, man, these guys ain't healed up yet. What's up with Kendrick Nunn? Did you guys know he was this injured when you hired him? Like, was he this injured? I don't know, but I'm a bit frustrated because our team still hasn't seen some of these young players, and ultimately we're getting exploited by young players on other teams. So yeah, man, just a little frustrated with the roster, as all of us are. But that's Rob's job. Rob's got to get right there, and I hope that he gets active and makes some moves. Even if they're small moves, we need to get better, and we need to do that very soon. So that's what I'll leave you with. My name is BDF44, of course. Pacers coming up next. Final game of the road trip. The Lakers are going to have a very, very, very tough time going up against those centers. Miles Turner, Sabonis. They got a full team over there. Rookie of the Year candidate, Duarte. Levert, I believe he's back now. That is a full team over there. You know, they're not overachieving, but they're very, very well coached, and they have some stars. So if you're going to go into that building, you best believe if you don't come with your A game, you're going to get beat. So Malcolm Brogdon, they got some guys, man. Anyway, that's that, man. BDL44. Thanks for watching. Peace.